Excuse me, Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, the #1 sports information program in America, the Breakfast Bankroll, with your host, the sports broker, Jeff Dawson.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I'm your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your Breakfast Bankroll for Monday, January 16th, 2023. Happy Martin Luther King Jr. Day. I hope everyone here survived Wild Card Weekend, or I should say Super Wild Card Weekend, as we got one game left for the first weekend. Not a lot of shockers. If you were a dog player yesterday, you were quite happy. Dolphins cover, don't win outright. Giants cover and win outright against the Vikings. And I know everyone's going to sit here and say, I told you the Vikings were frauds. And last night, Bengals win, don't cover. A 17-17 game where the Ravens were about to go in and take a 24-17 advantage, and Huntley tried to take a leap from the 2, get the ball knocked out from the 1, and Cincinnati picks it up and runs 99 yards. If you haven't noticed that no one talks about the Cincinnati defense, the magic number is 17. This team has not given up more than 17 points in forever. And again, the Ravens stuck on stupid at 17. But it's our weekly trip to FLA to Fort Lauderdale. Good friend and colleague, the one and only Mr. BDB and Beating the Book.
Good morning, Jeff. Good morning to everybody out there. It's Monday morning, Martin Luther King Day.
It's
looking forward to some sports on the TV this Monday afternoon. Actually, some 1 p.m. NHL, some noontime college basketball. Should be a good one, you know.
Yes, I was looking at the slate and OMG. I mean, we're covered. We are covered with NHL. We're covered with college hoops, as you said. The primetime game tonight, obviously at 8:15, Dallas and Tampa, which we will get to. Week overall, give everyone out there watching and listening a recap on how you did, how you feeling throughout the week, and then obviously a great weekend as well.
Yeah, had a great week. I mean, I think free plays finished the week 9-1 on my site. Been on fire for the NFL for like a month. College basketball has been on fire. Struggled a little bit this weekend at the Sony for PGA. Kind of a wild tournament, really. Nobody really played great. And had some great NFL games this weekend. Pretty entertaining NFL week for wild card weekend. Of course, we've got the Bucs versus Cowboys tonight, so I'm interested to see how that one goes. And the moment of the weekend for me was somebody betting $1.4 million on the Chargers live money line to win 11,000 and losing. You can't buy you can't buy intelligence, right? And that's what that person proved. So it was a pretty nice weekend all around. So can't complain. The weather here is very nice, like the low 40s at night, 70s in the daytime. So it's been a beautiful week, and just looking forward to finishing it off today, actually. So
I got rain, snow, sleet. So I had the trip yesterday to Yukon and then to Boston and back to the Cape. And we dealt with that rain, snow, sleet again. So you're very blessed to have 70 degrees and nice warm weather there, sir. Going to that $1.4 million, Darren Roble had posted it on the Action Network. And I've seen some stupidity in my life. I've seen a lot of people lose a lot of money on these live in-game moves. But the thought process makes zero sense to me in this regards. If you have $1.4 million and you're able to place that wager, what the hell good is $11,000 to you? In other words, I know you think it's a free bingo square. They're just going to hold my money for 2 more hours, and then they're going to hand me my money back with an additional $11,000. Can you explain any kind of thought process?
I mean, yeah, he just thought he's going to get $11,000 free, basically. Um, that's what he's thinking. I think we've all, whether it's betting a minus 500 favorite, for $2,000 to win 400 or something like that. I mean, I'm sure everyone's done it to some extent, but when you're talking about 1.4 million, maybe the guy needed to, some people are like that, some people like to build up their accounts through, making crazy money line bets like that. Then you have people that they'll bet 2 minus 1,000 favorites in college basketball and parlay them together for a minus 500 payout, so it happens a lot. And if I was a sportsbook, I mean, I would love those bets, right? You're just sportsbooks risking $10,000 to win 1.4 million. I mean, I would take that bet all day. So, and someone says, well, the person must have a lot of money to be able to make a bet like that. I think it's probably different. I mean, if they had a ton of money, they wouldn't be worried about making $10,000, right?
Exactly.
So I think it's someone who probably needed to make money, had a lot of money in their account, and then literally they probably gave away their entire account value on that game. So I don't feel bad whatsoever. I mean, if you bet like that, I mean, you pretty much deserve what you get. I mean, you know what the risks are. And it's those kind of people that they think they can outsmart the system. It's those kind of people that are like, oh, I would never buy picks. I can do it on my own and stuff. So, that's a little bit of their own medicine for them. So, that was certainly, one of the worst bets I've ever seen. With Mattress Mac, TCU moneyline being one of the others, but it's hard to feel bad for someone when they make just an idiotic bet like that. I have really no sympathy for that.
A lot of people watching, a lot of people listening. We talked about the recap. We talked about the dogs coming in yesterday. Might as well throw them a little meat and potatoes to start here, BDB. A Dallas Tampa Bay game. Listen, we all know Tom Brady's 7-0 lifetime against the Cowboys. We know how bad the Cowboys have looked the last couple weeks, yet they're 2.5-point favorites with a 45.5 under over. I know at the end of the show, we're going to tell everyone where they can go to get your VIP service and all your premium plays, and you also offer free plays, but give them basically an intro of what you're seeing and feeling for tonight's game.
I mean, I'm certainly not jumping at the gun about the Dallas Cowboys after their last few weeks of the regular season with a quarterback who led the league in interceptions this year with 15 while missing 5 games. So it's basically the story tonight of Tampa Bay and Tom Brady, Tom is 7-0 against the Cowboys in his career. And obviously, if that improves to 8-0 tonight, they cover since they're a home dog. Right? You have Tom Brady as a home dog playing in Tampa against a team who notoriously chokes in the playoffs the last 20 plus years, right? With the quarterback Dak, who's never really won anything, with a Mike McCarthy, who's pretty much, it's laughable. Mike McCarthy only has 1 Super Bowl with all the talent he had in Green Bay, with Aaron Rodgers' best years. But on the other side, it's tough to bet on Todd Bowles, and Byron Leftwich, running Tampa Bay. But I think it's one of those games where Tom Brady, Byron Leftwich isn't calling the plays today, right? I think it's just Tom Brady. Tom's going to do what he thinks he needs to do for the Buccaneers to win this game. So if I had to bet right now, I mean, I would take the Buccaneers. But I wouldn't be comfortable betting them, right? Because they struggled offensively this season. They got great play from their defense, so it all just depends if the Cowboys have a healthy offensive line, right? If their center is going to be 100% tonight, which he likely won't be, right? But Tampa Bay's offensive line is also banged up as well, so you have basically two injured offensive lines. It's just going to come down to who makes mistakes tonight. Will we see Brady throw a couple picks, or will we see Dak throw a couple picks, right? I'd say tonight, if any quarterback throws two interceptions, their team loses the game. So it's all about who can protect the ball better. And with the experience of Tom Brady, I mean, it's hard to bet against Tom Brady in a playoff game, right? So that's where I am right there. It's just hard to fade Tom Brady in late January. I do like the total. I do like the over. I actually gave that on as a play, the over. I got it at 45 earlier. So I do like the over. And obviously, we've seen every game fly over 5-0 in the playoffs so far. I don't think that stops tonight because I think the game can either go two ways. Either, Tampa Bay comes out, takes an early 10-0 lead, something like that. And Dallas is, coming back, playing that tempo offense that they do well on when they're trailing, and it turns into a shootout. Or I think Dallas takes the lead early and Tampa Bay turns it into a shootout. So I think if we get started early, we can certainly see a shootout between these two teams. But at the end of the day, I mean, 45 years old, I'm not looking to fade. I mean, my partner Jesse, he kind of likes the Cowboys, but it's just tough for me to fade the GOAT right at home in the playoffs as an underdog. It's just very tough to fade Tom Brady in a spot. We haven't seen the line really move at all.
No,
been 3, 2.5 the entire week. So maybe towards kickoff we'll see more Tampa Bay money come in. But the problem is with the Cowboys, it's one of the America's team, right? Like they have a lot of fans, so obviously people are going to bet the Cowboys. So it's an interesting game. And do we see the end of Tom Brady tonight, right? Is this Tom Brady's last game ever? Last playoff game ever? We don't know. So there's a lot of storylines tonight. But I'm just hoping we see an old-fashioned shootout.
Three numbers that are already up. Obviously, the winner of this game will travel to San Francisco next week to face those red-hot 49ers and the Brock Star, who's since McCaffrey has come over to the 49ers, haven't lost. Brock hasn't lost. Be interesting to see what that number is, whether it's either Dallas or Tampa. But I have the three games in front of me that there are already nine numbers at you. Saturday, we have Jacksonville at Kansas City, 8.5 with a 52. Saturday night, Giants at Philly, 7 with a 48. And then the Sunday, probably the best game, obviously, of the weekend. Cincinnati at Buffalo, 4 with a 50. Anything jump out at you already peeking ahead to next weekend?
I mean, I love the Cincinnati Buffalo total, the over 50. I mean, you have two explosive offenses, and the Bills defense, the Bills defense is kind of struggling at times right now. But they do make big plays when they need it, but they still give up points. I mean, they're playing decent, but they're still giving up points. We know they're not fully healthy. And against the Dolphins, I mean, they gave up 31 to the Dolphins, but, the Dolphins only had about 220 yards total offense, right? Like the Dolphins weren't just marching up and down the field. They made Skylar Thompson look terrible. The Dolphins pretty much scored off, long punt return. They scored off a couple interceptions that weren't Josh Allen's fault, right? Like Cole Beasley dropped the pass. It was intercepted. They ran it back to 20. The one was Josh Allen's fault where he got sacked, dropped the ball. The Dolphins returned it for a touchdown. So the Dolphins did score 31, but it's very misleading because the Bills pretty much shut them down on defense. I do think Cincinnati will score points this week. I mean, I think, we saw their offense in check yesterday. The Ravens pretty much shut them down. Not a great pass defense either, the Ravens. I mean, we saw Tua throw for 6 touchdowns against the Ravens this year, just 500 yards passing. So the Bengals did not look good yesterday offensively, but I don't expect that to happen in back-to-back games, right? Like Joe Burrow threw for 209 yards. I don't see Joe Burrow going back-to-back games throwing for 200 yards, basically, right? I think if Cincinnati wants to beat Buffalo, Joe Burrow's gonna have to go for like 350 through the air, right? So I think the Bengals, they'll throw the ball, and the Bills are gonna score, right? Like, you're not gonna stop the Bills. You're not gonna stop Josh Allen from scoring. Just can the Bills not turn the ball over, right? Like the Bills can easily win the Super Bowl if they don't turn the ball over, right? So that's what it's going to come down to. If the Bills turn the ball over like 1 or less times, I think they'll win the game. But if you start getting up into 2 turnover range, stuff like that, I think the Bills might be in trouble. But as for this total, I do like the number at 50. But the problem is, in Buffalo, you don't know if a snowstorm's going to roll through, on Thursday, Friday. It might come through Saturday. You just don't know when a storm is going to come through. So probably wait, a few days to bet this total before we get some more accurate weather reports. You never want to be on the wrong side of the weather. So that's where I am with that game. The Giants in Philadelphia, I mean, the Eagles crushed the Giants both games this year. And, similar to the Dolphins, Bills, right? You have 2 division rivals facing each other. The Giants did look good yesterday, but the Vikings defense was terrible. They let Daniel Jones basically do whatever he wanted. And it seemed like every time the Giants needed a big play, he would just dump it off to Saquon Barkley, who would go for a first down. So I don't think anybody took the Vikings seriously. So now they're going to face the Eagles team in Philly. I think this game just comes down to, is Jalen Hurts 100%, right? He's basically played 1 game in the last 4 weeks. So is he 100% coming into this game? So I'll probably just wait for, to see some clips from practice this week, or hear some quotes in their practice and see what guys are saying about him. But the Eagles, I mean, they obviously should win that game. It'll be a huge disappointment if they don't. And these are 3 great games so far that are great for the overs also. I mean, you have 3 offensively talented teams. Kansas City, Jacksonville. Am I looking to lay, 8.5, 9 as a home favorite? Not really. So I doubt I'll play the Chiefs, but the Jaguars, offensively, the Jaguars have they've played 2 good quarters out of the last 8 or 6, right? Out of the last 8, sorry. Down 27-0, right? Left for dead. Somebody's betting $1.4 million against you. Trevor Lawrence throws 4 picks in the first half, and you're thinking the game is over. But to the Jags' credit, they never gave up. I just think, unfortunately for them, now they have to go play Kansas City this weekend, right? With the best quarterback in the NFL, right? The guy who can pretty much put the team on his back, who's rested, who's pretty much a pretty healthy team, right? They've got a lot of playmakers. And I think the Chiefs watched that first half of the Jags-Chargers game. The Chargers basically play a little bit kind of like the Chiefs offensively, right? But the Chiefs do it much better, right? And Andy Reid's not a complete moron like Brandon Staley. So I think the Chiefs have, they watched some stuff that worked in that first half of that Chargers game, and they're going to see what worked and what didn't in the second half. The Chargers employed. So I think the Chiefs are in a pretty good spot to advance, but kind of undecided. Jacksonville is one of those teams right now. You don't really know like which Jacksonville team's going to show up, right? Like one week they're very good offensively. 1 week Trevor Lawrence throws 4 interceptions, right? Like he had 222 passes without an interception going into that game. Then he throws 4. So it's kind of stuff that you can't predict. But it's a young team. I just don't think they have what it takes to really challenge Kansas City, right? It's such a coaching. It's a coaching advantage for Kansas City with the Andy Reid, quarterback advantage, right? Receivers advantage, right? Tight end advantage. The Jags are going to need like an insane defensive performance to stay in the game, and they didn't get it against the Chargers, especially in the first half. I'm not sure they're going to get it against Patrick Mahomes either. So, the way Jacksonville kind of celebrated kind of reminded me of how TCU celebrated right after beating Michigan, right? Like they're just happy to be there, right? Like we shouldn't have won this game, right? Nobody thought we would win, and we won the game. I kind of feel like they're kind of feeling like how TCU felt, right? And now they're just playing with house money, right? So I think it's going to be hard for the Jags to duplicate that energy they came with in the second half of that game to Kansas City. So I think Jacksonville, they could be in trouble. I wouldn't be surprised if they got blown out, but I'm not really looking to lay 9 points.
The San Fran situation, obviously, winner tonight goes. Both will be good headlines. Again, if Tampa prevails, it's Tom Brady heading out of San Fran, where he grew up, where he was shunned during free agency, where Shanahan said, "Now we're all set. We got Jimmy G. We're going to draft Trey Lance, yada, yada, yada." Or in comes Dak and the Dallas Cowboys reliving the old days with the Cowboys versus the 49ers. Both, I think, will be interesting to see some opening numbers there. I guess my question before we leave football to you is Seattle hung around on Saturday, and then great first half, nowhere to be found in the second half. The addition of McCaffrey added with Debo, added with Kittles, Ayuk, Elijah Mitchell is back. Their defense is healthy. Does it matter whoever shows up there? I mean, do you give Tom or Dallas a puncher's chance? I mean, I know the line will probably be 4 or 5. It won't be a touchdown. I don't think it will be, at least.
Yeah.
Niners are clicking on all cylinders, but either one of these teams pose a real threat, you think, next weekend?
Yeah, I mean, either team definitely has a chance. I mean, they have all the talent in the world, and I would say the Niners' weak spot, is their secondary, right? We saw DK Metcalf totally torch them. The Ward guy got, Travarius Ward or whatever, he got torched by DK Metcalf, right? Just played a terrible game, and it all comes down to the Niners D line, right? They can make your life hell. So, like I said, the Cowboys and the Buccaneers offensive lines are both banged up. So, we saw Brady go there earlier this season and just get destroyed, right? And it's hard to see the Buccaneers playing that bad again. I do think maybe Tampa Bay would have the better shot since they already played them once this year out there. And they kind of know what they need to correct to play better and stuff. It's all about just protecting the quarterback, when they play those teams. So, of course, they have a shot, right? But if they're going to win that game, they need to score over 30 points. So if you're going to have a shot to beat the Niners right now, you're going to score over 30 points. Because the Niners, they have so many playmakers on offense, they're going to score. Unless we see a complete meltdown from Brock Purdy, which unbelievably hasn't come yet. He melted down pretty much every college game with interceptions. So we have not seen it yet. So, credit to 49ers for turning Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant in the draft to, a guy who's probably going to be the starter for the 49ers next season, right? Over a guy that they traded, first round picks for, and over Jimmy G. So it's been an amazing story. It's almost like a Cinderella story. And I thought early in that game against Seattle, Brock Purdy kind of looked a little nervous. All of his pass misses were all high. Then he kind of got in the groove, and it's kind of hard. They have so much speed with McCaffrey, Ayuk, Debo, Kittle. It's hard to cover all those guys, right? So if Brock Purdy gets time to throw and find one of those playmakers, I mean, it's hard to cover those guys for 5 seconds, during plays. So I think the Niners, they're looking very good, right? And they've got a chance, obviously, to go all the way. So, but definitely, I mean, a Cowboys team or a Buccaneers team playing perfect football, I mean, they can certainly, beat anybody on any given day. So, especially in the NFL, right? I mean, we saw the Dolphins with Skylar Thompson almost beat the Bills, right? So anybody can win on any given day. That's why people love the NFL, right? We saw the Bengals nearly get upset by Brett Hundley and the Ravens last night. So anything can happen. But I probably at the end of the day, I'd probably give Tampa Bay more of a shot to beat San Fran than Dallas, right? Just because I trust Tom Brady over Dak, right? And we've seen when Dak gets pressured, he throws interceptions. So they're both capable of beating the Niners, but I don't know if they can. But hopefully, we don't see a blowout in that game.
I'm going to go to the frozen pond right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 games on the docket. We actually even have 2 matinees, Philly at Boston, your Panthers at Buffalo, and then at 3 and 4 o'clock, Red Wings at the Avs, Tampa Bay at the Red Hot Seattle Kraken, and the Devils at the Sharks. Monday morning, start of a new week. Everyone waking up after a great week and weekend with you, and then you see a big hockey slate like this. Have you had time to take a look at today's match? Anything jumping out at you, or later on this evening in the NHL arena?
Yeah, I mean, the Panthers Sabres play at 1 p.m. So I'm taking that game over 7. It was like plus 100. Actually, I'll take 6.5 minus 130. But you have the number 1 team for shots per game, the Panthers, against the number 1 scoring offense in the NHL. So 1 p.m. game. Hopefully, we see a shootout there. Panthers are starting to play a little better. But Paul Maurice, I'm still just not a huge fan. And like I said, we've got some day games today, so I like the the Avalanche are kind of starting to get healthier. They're starting to play a little better. So I might look at the Avalanche puck line. Probably the best game of the day is probably Tampa Bay versus Seattle. I told you last week that this Kraken team we got to watch out for, right? Like this Kraken team is, one of the best teams in the NHL right now. And I gave out the Kraken over, what was it, 3.5 on the show on that one. And then they beat Boston, right? They gave Boston their first regulation home loss on the season. And then they went to last game, the Kraken played who did they play? Maybe Columbus, and they put up 6 goals in the first period. So this is a very offensively talented team, and they can play some good defense, as we saw against the Bruins, right? So I think that Tampa Bay Seattle game today will be quite the shootout. So I'm just looking forward to a few of these games, but just at first glance, that's what I would like. Haven't really had the time yet to sit down and dissect them. Still got to wait for the morning skates, but yeah, Florida, Buffalo, I'll definitely be on the over 6.5 right there. The Philly Boston game, I'll probably stay away from. The Bruins had that really good run, like 32-4, which is just sick. I mean, it's one of the greatest starts in NHL history. Can they maintain that? I'm not sure they can, but they're playing a shitty Flyers team today. So they should easily dispose of the Flyers. But besides that, it was a pretty solid NHL weekend. I just went like 4-1. I didn't really press it too much, with all the football going on. But it was a nice winning weekend, and we're sneaking up to the All-Star break, right, for the NHL, and looking forward to getting to the second half of the season, where guys are getting ready for the playoffs.
Not a big slate in college hoops. Some noon action. The headliner at 2:30. Purdue, Michigan State. I had an opener of 3 and 133. Seeing some Purdue's minus 3.5 at a 133.5. You scared of road favorite Purdue, or is this a good spot you think for the Sparties and Izzo's Army at home?
Yeah, I'm not really in the place where I'm going to trust Michigan State fully yet. But Purdue, I don't think Purdue does anything special, right? Like Big Ten basketball doesn't really scare me. They're just, a bunch of slow teams. They walk them off the court. They're not running very much. So I'll probably stay away from this game. Michigan State, they're not the Michigan State of of old, but they're certainly improving a bit. We got Georgetown and Villanova at 12 as well. I think it's been like 2 years since Georgetown won a Big East Conference game, which is pretty insane when you think about it, when you think about their history and stuff. But yeah, like you said, I think probably one of the best games today will be the FAU Western Kentucky game. Florida Atlantic's been playing some pretty good basketball. I've been milking their first half totals pretty much all season. So I'll have to take a more in-depth look at that game, when I get a chance. But we have some all right games today. Illinois, Minnesota. Minnesota's trash this year, but Illinois, you never know which Illini team is going to show up. Then you have Miami versus Syracuse. Hurricanes coming off of a tough loss in overtime to NC State. Now they're laying 7 points at home to a Syracuse team that's not the Syracuse that everybody's used to watching, right? So I probably lean towards the Hurricanes in that one. But yeah, there's a lot going on today, so I'm ready to get started right after this show actually and break down more of these games. So I definitely would lean towards Miami -7, and that's pretty much it right now, just from initial glance.
I was going to ask you about that game when I was breaking down the games this morning, taking a quick eye test on the spreadsheet. I thought the under-over 150 to me looked real high, especially when I compare it to the rest of the board. Usually when that happens, it flies over, or vice versa. When you see a real low number, that you think that looks a little too low. It's funny. Yesterday, the Xavier game, the total was 156. They scored 93.5. Everyone running window, with their overtime. The game goes crashingly under. But when I looked at this, I got your Warren Sapp shirt right behind you, right there. As you said, the Jim Boeheim of old teams, the Derek Colemans, the Ronnie Cycles, the Pearl Washingtons, they're not like that. Does that number seem high to you? Do you think that Vegas is pretty spot on, or are they trying to entice us to take the under and this flies over?
Listen, the Hurricanes, the Hurricanes' last few home games, they gave up 72 to Boston College. They gave up, they held Virginia to 64, but Virginia's, not a big offensive team. They gave up 76 to St. Francis of Pennsylvania. They gave up 105 to Cornell, right? So, they've been giving up some points at home. They've also been scoring points at home, right? They scored 107, 80, 91, and 88 in their last home game. So, they've been scoring, and we've seen Syracuse. Syracuse, they started out the year pretty flat, but we've seen Syracuse come alive. They've won their last two against Notre Dame and Virginia Tech. They've won 4 out of 5, but they've been scoring the ball, a lot better than they were early season. The Hurricanes, they can come out, and the Hurricanes are very deep, right? So when they go to the bench, they don't have much drop off. They can still score. If I was going to bet anything this game, I might take a look at the Hurricanes team total, right? Because I think the Hurricanes will score. I'm not at the point right now where I'm going to trust Syracuse to score. But their offense has been, playing much better. But yeah, the 149.5, that doesn't really scare me. I start getting scared when we start seeing those, 154s, 155s, 156 totals. So the 149.5, that doesn't really scare me very much. I think they're easily capable of going over that number, but like I said, it's not my favorite play on the board.
Golf, Hawaii, last 2 weeks. We're going to wrap up here. Correct me if I'm wrong. They come now to California, correct?
Yeah, they go to the American Express Championship. It's always an interesting tournament because, they play, I think, 3 different courses or 2 different courses. And one of the courses does not have a shot tracker, so you're basically just waiting for score updates, in the blind. So this week I'll probably just kind of take it easy, just play select plays. I mean, the Sony Open was tough. I lost so many bets on the last hole, and then you have Siwoo Kim coming from a few shots back on the final day to beat Hayden Buckley. So kind of an uneventful tournament at the Sony. The field was very watered down, and we didn't see some of those guys everyone loves now, like Tom Kim and stuff. None of them played very well. We saw Jordan Spieth become like the 4th ever, I think, to be the first round leader, then turn around and miss the cut the next day. So I just thought from a quality standpoint, it wasn't a lot of quality golf going on, right? We didn't see a very low score win it. So I just thought it was kind of a blah tournament. So the Amex, looks pretty good this week. And like I said, this is a course where it's going to be a total shootout, right? It was a birdie fest last year. I think even last year, John Rahm complained about it being too easy, right? So just looking forward to, getting to California and, checking out this Amex Championship, just seeing who's going to play, first of all, right? So we'll see who drops out, who's going to play. And I'm sure they'll have some big names, but looking forward to, getting this Sony Open behind me. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't, I hate when I have a losing tournament, so I'm just looking forward to, having a winning one this week.
Well, the scroll has been going the whole time, B2B. Everyone on Twitter, obviously, that knows you can follow you at Beating the Bookie. If you are not following, please go follow him. Great friend, great colleague. Tell them about your website. Tell them where they can find you, your picks, your packages moving forward, Rob.
Yeah, all packages are on my site, beatingthebookie.com. You can follow me on my Twitter for free plays and stuff. I also post free plays on my website. I'm starting to post them more to the website than on Twitter. That way I can make people do just a little work and go to the site instead of just checking Twitter like all the trolls just seem to do. So it's been a nice run, 9-1 on free plays. So it's been a very nice week, and all my packages are on site: football, basketball, hockey, soccer, golf. We've got pretty much everything that you're looking for. So if you're watching this show, you probably already follow me. So, thanks for watching, and we appreciate it. Appreciate you coming to the site, and I'm just looking forward to another big week.
Always great, Rob, to catch up to you on Mondays. We might add a show or two, who the hell knows. But listen, do us a favor from the East Coast. Can you send some of that warmth, that 70-degree heat, We're making snow angels here in the backyard of the studio here.
Yeah, I mean, it's been in the low 40s here at night lately, but it gets up into the mid 60s. So I think they said that later this week we'll be back in the lower 80s. So once it warms up, I'll send. I'm actually going to Chicago Thursday, actually. So I'm going to Chicago Thursday through Sunday for a wedding. So I'll be joining you guys in the cold weather. So,
well, we're glad. Thank you. So, everyone, thank you so much for watching. Follow us at EC Sports Invest at Beating the Bookie. Great way to start the week here with Rob and myself. Any questions, comments, concerns, reach out to either one of us on our Twitter page, and we will follow back and answer any questions that you have. So always remember, it's the start of a new week. Everyone here had a great day, a great week, a great weekend. So let's basically pick up where we left off on Sunday and have a great start to the new week. NFL, college hoops, matinees, and hockey. So it's a full slate. So myself and Rob will be back on social media sooner than later. Everyone have a great day. We will see you soon.